Okay, today we're going to look at the heart structure. So we're going to draw a blunt cone. Then we're going to divide it into 4 portions. Remember that this would be the right side of the heart. This is the left side of the heart. The atria are at the top. The ventricles are at the bottom. So let's label our 4 quadrants. Here we have our right atrium. This is the left atrium. Remember that atria is plural and atrium is singular. So this is the right ventricle. This is the left ventricle. Okay, we want to look at our 4 valves. So I'm going to draw our 4 valves, and I want to make those green in color. So here's a valve here between the right atrium and the right ventricle, and a second valve here between the left atrium and the left ventricle. Let's name those 2 valves. Those are both atrioventricular valves because they're in between the atria and the ventricles. They are the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve. These are going to prevent backflow, so they're going to prevent blood going from the right ventricle into the right atrium, and blood going from the left ventricle into the left atrium. We have another set of valves, but first we need to draw their blood vessels that they're based from. So let's look at the right ventricle. We're going to draw the pulmonary trunk coming out here. We have valves at the base of the pulmonary trunk. They're going to be located here. And that valve, well, let me say, these are the semilunar valves. And the name of that particular valve is the pulmonary valve, or you can call it the pulmonary semilunar valve. The pulmonary valve is located here at the base of the pulmonary trunk. It's the right pulmonary trunk here. Okay. Now we'll look at the other semilunar valve, but I want to make it in red. I want to draw your aorta in red here. This is the aorta, so they would arch around the heart like this. Let's write the name aorta here. Okay. We'll draw the valve in green again. I think we've done all of our valves in green. So this is the aortic semilunar valve, or aortic valve. So here in our picture we have our 4 chambers and our 4 valves. Next, we want to look at the blood vessels that are going to take blood towards the heart. Okay, so we want to look at, I wanted a highlighter of blue because it's deoxygenated blood. So let's see here what this color does. So there's our inferior vena cava. Here's our superior vena cava. And they're both going to empty into the right atrium. So there's our blood going into the right atrium. Notice that it's blue, and the reason it's blue is because it's deoxygenated blood. Blood goes from the right atrium through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle. Then blood goes from the right ventricle through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary trunk. The pulmonary trunk is going to take the blood, let me draw this real big here, to go into the lungs. What happens in the lungs to the blood? The blood is oxygenated. So we're going to, I need something a little bit thinner to write with. So we're going to go back down and look at a pen. We're going to do lungs. Blood goes here to the lung. That would be the left lung. The blood would go to the right lung. The blood is oxygenated in the lungs, and it's going to return to the heart as a red color. If I can get the color to work. Here we go. So now blood is going to go into the left atrium from the lungs. Draw our blood vessels here. The blood vessels, this would be the left lung. This is the right lung. Okay, blood would return to the lungs through the pulmonary veins. So that this would be the left pulmonary vein on the left side. This is the right pulmonary vein. Blood goes into the right atrium, and the right atrium is going to pump the blood to the, left atrium. The blood goes from the left atrium to the left ventricle. The blood goes from the left ventricle. Well, actually, it goes through your bicuspid valve or mitral valve. Then the blood goes from the left ventricle up through the aortic valve. And the aortic valve is going to take the blood to the aorta, to the systemic circuit.